Vancouver band 5440 headline a triple bill of Canadian acts this Thursday at the OLG Stage at Fallsview Casino with the Watchmen and the Pursuit of Happiness opening up. 40 years have passed since their debut self-titled album hit stores, and they released their 14th album just last year called West Coast Band. It's kind of autobiographical, really covers a lot of the time before Dave Genn joined the band. Dave, that album, I don't think I've ever really heard anything like it before, and that's a good thing.
This is a COVID record that we've released. We made it during COVID, so we all live in different areas of BC. I'm in Vancouver. Neil's on a Gulf Island. Brad's on Vancouver Island, and Matt's on a Gulf Island as well. So we were sending files around to each other, and we made a very, very autobiographical record. It's devoid of any metaphor, and is all literal stories about the history of the band, inside jokes, spoken in the vernacular of the band, and a real insight into our culture.
You mentioned the inside jokes, and I've got to bring that up because, I mean, one song is named after Brad, and then there's some shout outs to other members of the band, and there's, talk about or singing about sleeping on a couch in Chicago because you couldn't find a hotel room. How much of those stories were you around for?
Well, I am responsible for quite a few of the inside catchphrases. I think when I entered the band 21 years ago, I brought my own history and culture into the band. And a lot of the titles of the songs were sort of brainstormed amongst the five of us to come up with songs that represent sort of the inside culture, the inside jokes of what we talk about when we're in the van, when we're sitting around in hotel lounges or airport lounges. When a band's been together as long as 5440, you come up with your own language. And this is a little insight. The record is a little insight into that language of ours.
I have to ask you this question. We'll move on to the upcoming show, but who is the food loser that always got the wrong food at the restaurant?
Well, that can be anybody. I mean, I think that song is probably the most relatable to anybody, because food loser is when you're with a group of people in a restaurant, somebody's meal is always wrong, right? They bring the wrong thing, or it's not done to your liking, or maybe the server made a mistake, heaven forbid. Food loser is something that we can all appreciate and relate to.
It must have been a heck of a fun album to make then.
It was interesting, actually. Neil sent me the first couple of songs, and I went, wow, this record's so weird. Everybody's going to hate this. And then he sent me a couple more songs, and they were still right on brand. And I said, wow, this record's so weird. Everybody's going to love this.
When you are on tour, when you're touring this summer, you're here May 23rd in Niagara Falls, do you play some songs from this, or do you concentrate more on, the endless number of hits that the band has had through the years?
A couple of years into my tenure with 5440, I suggested to the band that they should let me write the set list. And they said, why should we let you write the set list? You're the new guy. And I said, well, I was a fan first. And I've seen you so many times before I joined the band. I know what the fans want.
Right.
So they let me start writing the set list about 18 years ago, and it's been going well, so they allowed me to keep doing it. So I do take requests, as long as they come with a $100 bill. And we tend to play the hits, give the people what they want, but also keep ourselves challenged and interested by throwing in a couple of deep cuts, throwing in some new songs. We are a band that continues to make records. That is for our fan base, but it's also for us to keep us engaged, creatively, and also on stage to give us a challenge. Playing Baby Ran for 5440, that's a song from 1985. It's not a challenge to get up there and play it every night.
Right.
But a new song makes sure that we are present, engaged, and concentrating.
When you play a gig like this one with two other bands that also were very active during the 80s and 90s, is there a tendency to swing a little bit more to that era?
When I'm putting the set list together, I concentrate on making sure that the people that see us will come back. And the way to do that for 5440 is to play catalog, to play our hits. The thing that we hear most about 5440 as a brand is people come up to us after the show and they say, I had no idea you guys played so many songs that I know. In a lot of ways, our songs are bigger than the band's name, bigger than the personalities. We have a catalog of so many radio hits that span decades. So I think sometimes people forget that we have so many songs that they're familiar with. So I try and cram as many of them into the show as possible while still sticking a couple of new songs or deep cuts in to keep us engaged and interested.
Well, I'm engaged and interested in seeing you on May 23rd at the OLG Stage with the Watchmen and the Pursuit of Happiness. Dave Genn, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Mike.